Hello, my name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And today's little chat is about cunning folk. They used to have cunning men, wise women in villages many years ago, before there were doctors and the National Health Service. They were people who largely healed those around them. I had things like wart charming and all sorts of stuff. Sometimes they perform spells, but what is interesting, right, let's get this started. What is interesting is that by the 16th century, that's in the 1500s, Henry VIII and all that, there were as many cunning folk in England as there were priests. Now there's a thought, isn't it? We often think there were just one or two here and there, but there were as many cunning folk in England as there were priests. And it might explain why the authorities were really trying to get rid of them. You know, they felt there were far too many, and they had to do something. They had to do something about it, because more people were going to the local wise woman or cunning man for things like fortune telling and healing and stuff like that than ever sought help from their parish priest. Now I think that's very interesting. So we have to make a distinction here that some people did undoubtedly cast spells to blight their neighbours' crops or make their animals ill or, spread disease or something. There were people like that. But there were an awful lot of people who did the opposite. They cast their spells and performed their rituals to get rid of sickness in animals, or a blight upon the land, or illness in the village. They actually were trying to heal, to cure things. But the authorities didn't care about that. Their idea was that the ones who were casting spells to heal, the cunning folk, were only trying to cast spells to get rid of problems that they had caused in the first place. And it's interesting, women often acted as midwives. And in fact, this was quite common years ago. Even if you had a midwife, the woman in labour would often have family members in with her, in case the midwife couldn't get there in time, or to be there until the midwife arrived, things like that. So, because most births then were at home anyway, so one of the things the church did was they targeted midwives. And, the idea was that you got rid of them. I mean, most people nowadays are born in a hospital, in the West anyway. UK, most of Europe, and Canada and the US. Now, that wasn't the case even 70 years ago, The old midwife who delivered me was, she lived down the road from us. My mother couldn't stand her. The midwife who delivered Mr. Penry was the wife of his geography teacher. It was all very close knit, even in a city, because I was born in a city. Even in a city, it was still quite close knit. So the role of a midwife, which is a word that actually means with the woman, midwife, it actually means with the woman. So it was very important. But the official Christian viewpoint was at that time that help was only given because these women were in league with the devil, and that started an awful lot of trouble. And that meant that women were denied the only help they had, and that's terrifying, really. I mean, what that must have done to the birth rate and the death rates, I can't imagine. So it was a concerted effort to get rid of the cunning folk. And I think to a large extent they succeeded. But I think an awful lot just went underground. If you know you're going to be pursued, then you just keep it quiet. You only help a small number of people that you can trust. It's a fascinating period to explore a bit. So I thought I'd share that one with you. Only a short talk, but I hope it's been interesting. And thank you very much for listening. Bye.